Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of Youth in the Loop, a talk show geared at youth and for the youth. Youth expressing themselves on controversial issues. We are your moderators, Philippa Dixon Laney and Norris Kimball.
Hello.
On our panel today, we have Teresa Hunter, Selena Lane,
Hello.
and Samantha Wilson.
Hello.
Today, we will continue to discuss a topical issue that young Christians are plagued with in today's world. Our topic of discussion for today is the pros and cons of being single. Young people are challenged every day with many issues, and being single in an unfair world is just one of them. Over to you, Norris.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about this first question. And the first question, I will direct it to Miss Wilson, and then I'll go around. Miss Wilson, the first question is something wrong with being single?
No, there's nothing wrong with being single. I think being single is probably your best times for you to go on your self journey, to figure out who you are, you know, learn about yourself, learn about learn about your good traits, your bad traits, things you could change about yourself, things that you can improve, so you can probably be the best version of yourself. So when you be in a relationship, you don't have baggage. So I feel like you make sure that being single is like a journey for you to just be on this self-love journey. So maybe you get in a relationship that you are, prepared and that you're ready to be in one, that you're
Now,
fully
as you're saying,
established.
okay, so you're saying that you need to first look at yourself, take care of yourself, understand who you are. But now, if you have someone, do you believe that that person can also show you who you are?
Yeah, you can also learn a lot while you're during that relationship because you may see things from a different point of view, and that could shed light on, hey, if he's giving me a scenario of like, oh, I didn't even think of it that way. Thank you. So also, you guys can always learn from each other, but I'm saying it's always good to be single just so you can have that time for yourself and just, figure out who you are. It all depends on the person.
Okay, so I want to now take this over to Miss Laney. Same question. Is there something wrong with being single?
No, I don't think so. I actually believe that throughout our lives we have seasons, and I believe that being single is one of those seasons. Being single, like Samantha said, is a time of self-discovery, time knowing who you are, just getting to know yourself, dating yourself per se. Yeah, so I don't think anything is wrong with being single. I actually think that's one of the best seasons of your life.
But now, what if peer pressure? Because you have that peer pressure out there, and peer pressure may say you're single, so something must be wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yeah,
would you respond to that?
society labels single being cliche or something bad, but honestly, it's not. If you're single, I believe that something is actually good with you because you don't tap into what society says. You're actually reserved yourself. You're waiting for the right person if that's what you're doing, or you're just getting to know yourself. So I actually believe it's the other way around.
Before I go over to you, Miss Hunter, I want to say I believe that there is something wrong with being single because being single, if you have somebody with you, they can actually help you grow. You know, a lot of times we try to grow on our own, but you may need someone to help you grow. You may need someone to show you that, hey, I haven't gotten over that yet, you know. So I believe there is something wrong with being single. So I'm going to take it over to Miss Hunter now.
I'm both. I believe something is wrong with being single. I also believe that it's not always bad per se, right? We get the example of Paul when he talks about his singleness and talks about other people, if they can be single, then he recommends them to be single. But at the same time, we are social beings. So yes, what Samantha said, what Selena said, I agree with it. But I also believe that we are social beings, so we need someone that we can rapport with, on a personal level. Like, I know we have friends and we have our family, but they also have their lives to go on with. They have their immediate families that they spend time with. When those people are spending time with their family, like, what are you doing? We're social beings.
Okay. All right. So I do respect the answers that were well received because Samantha, yes, you're right. You do need to find out who you are. You need time to learn yourself. But I would say not take too long because then you don't want to go on and become an old lady and then you really don't have anybody, you know? So I
Right.
would say not take too long, because that person can also help you grow. We grow together, and if this is somebody that you intend on spending your life with, then you'll grow old together and you'll be happy. Both you'll be happy. Okay. I'm going to turn it back over to our moderator, Miss Lamy, Dixon Lamy. Thank you.
Okay. Single people can devote themselves more fully to God's work. I think so. Yeah. The next question is, what causes one to be single? What causes one to really consider to be single? Miss Hunter, let me hear from you.
Okay. So there are a variety of reasons why people or anyone would maybe want to be single. For some people, it is a matter of self-esteem. Some people don't really have the courage to go out there and like get into a committed relationship. Some people don't want it. But also one of the biggest things that I see is that some of the times we get so caught up in achieving this and achieving that, our priorities can cause us to be single.
Quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, does individuals think that singleness is a gift, according to Paul? Samantha, let me hear. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Go ahead, Miss.
No, go ahead with Samantha.
Okay, go ahead, Miss Wilson. What causes one to be single? And as said before, do you think singleness is a gift, as Paul would put it?
Okay. Wait, say the question one more time. I have an answer, but I want to make sure I word this. I want to misunderstand. So ask the question again, please.
What causes one to be single? And Paul considers being single as a gift.
What causes one to be single? Okay, personally, what causes someone to be single could just be like what Miss Teresa said. But I also think that another reason, if I can dig a little bit more, go down the left lane, is it can be more of a personal reason when it comes to traumatic. It could be traumatic. When something happened to you as a child, personally, you don't know what's going on in my life, and sometimes people do not. I guess nowadays everybody's bringing awareness to therapy. Some people have not taken a chance to go to therapy. You don't know what demons people are dealing with. So they don't want to, some people rather just be alone and deal with their problems than date somebody. And then now they're overwhelmed with all of the problems that they've been going on. I'm putting it onto that person. Because some people are for me, for example, if I'm going through something, I just like to just take a step back, get it, figure out what I have going on, and then come back into life, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to just walk around and put all of my burdens onto someone else. Like, for example, let's say you're broke. My mind isn't on having fun. My mind is on making money. Then I'm gonna have fun. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why are you partying? But what are you celebrating? Because there's nothing to celebrate for. So that's why for me, it could be more personal reasons with you and your life. That's why people would just, just choose to be single.
Very interesting.
One more thing, when I miss is that you can't be independent. I feel like if you can't be independent you can't be independent, saying that if you can't have fun with yourself, then you shouldn't be in a relationship, because you should be able to just go on a date on your own. You should be able to have fun by yourself. If you cannot just be have fun by yeah, basically if you can have fun by yourself, then you really shouldn't be in a relationship because there's gonna be a time where if he's going on a trip or whatever, then you need that self-love before you can have somebody love you.
Okay, interesting. So it's basically doing you. Interesting.
It's in the sense. You have to do you before you can get out there and meet new
I
people.
got you. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. So in 1 Corinthians 7:32-34, it says a married person's interests are divided, including affairs of the world and how he can please his wife or husband. Now, going back to the question, what causes one to be single? Selena, let me hear from you.
Like Teresa and Samantha said, I do believe it's a personal preference. And earlier on, you asked the question that Paul said being single is a gift. I would say yes, it is, especially in today's world, because everyone is so easily accessible. Like you could walk out the street and find someone right away, especially with technology, social media and stuff. So for you to be single, I would say that says a lot about you, that you hold a high standard. You just don't go to anybody, you don't put yourself out there, and you actually value yourself. Not saying that if you're not single, it doesn't mean you don't value yourself, but at least you're not just going to any and anybody. And so yes.
Understood. Understood.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, can I
Can
can I say something real quick to what you
Go
said?
ahead. Go ahead.
Honestly, I want to not piggyback on what you said. I want to go look, just
Which
make one
aspect?
note.
Which aspect of it?
When she was saying that not just to go into like any and everybody, which is also true, but let's take it to where everything going on social media right now with all these, everybody's having this trendy mentality of, when it comes to, oh, girls want the money, girls want this, da 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 da. Everybody's following to all them. Everyone's getting so wrapped up with social media and the music industry and what people are putting out there, and people are consuming it, and then they're forgetting that's not really reality. It's not real. Like these aren't people who actually like this. They're just following. Like nobody really has their own individuality anymore. So that's why I also feel like everybody's putting a lot of people into categories because they've seen so much of it already. Everybody just assumes that, oh, you're just doing this, and it's gonna be harder because you're really not this person, but this person automatically boxed you and labeled you because of what they've been shown already. So that's why I feel like, dating any and everybody's because everybody is everybody. You really can't figure out who's different because everybody's
Just to clear, when I said any and anybody, meaning I'm not judging anyone or anything.
right.
Meaning
That's what I'm saying. I understand perfectly. Right. I understand what you said.
Yeah. So I'm
Right.
just
I totally
making it
get
clear.
you. That's why I said what I said. I totally get you. Yeah.
Yeah, not saying judging anyone or anything like that. Just may not be your type of person per se, because in reality, we all have a type.
Okay. Okay, I got both of you. I understand what both of you are trying to say. So,
Miss Dixon, before you go, and there goes another reason for being single, talking about everybody has a type, and what is my type may not necessarily be what God has in mind for me.
that is
my
so
type,
true.
it may just be the total wrong person for me, but in my head, it's my type. So that can also have people to be single.
That's true. Very well said, ladies.
It's a lesson.
Well said.
It's a lesson. And you're going to keep learning that lesson till you go for the person that's not your type. And you're going to see it's a lesson. It's a lesson.
It's so many different aspects to it.
Yeah.
Okay, well said. Well said. Norris, over to you.
Yeah, now I hear what everybody is saying. I want to get into this here now because you have to have some level of control when you're single. Now we're talking about Paul, and we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, Paul does say, but if they cannot contain, let them marry, for it is better to marry than to burn. So if you're telling me that you prefer to be single, then you're telling me that you have a level of self-control at the same time as well. we get those urges. You know, you get urges that you want to experience something. You understand what I'm saying? But in order to do that, according to Paul, you need to be married. So talk to me about these self-control. How do you control yourself if you're single? You see a nice looking guy that may walk past you. How do you control yourself? I would take that to Selena first. How do you control yourself?
Yes, so like I said earlier, in today's world, everyone's easily accessible. And like you mentioned, you could walk out and see a nice guy, but how would you control yourself is, I would say it depends on you, your moral standards, what you believe in. So if you see a nice guy, you just don't go and throw yourself. You probably say hi to that person. Especially in today's world, a lot of people are socially, they're not so social, like face to face, everything is online. So for you to walk up to a person to say hi, exchange phone numbers, or however you may want to go about it, just get to know the person first before you jump into anything. So I would say how you control yourself is just hold it to your standards, what you believe in and what you hope are actually the biblical way too. So you're not gonna fornicate or anything like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so I'm going to go over to Miss Wilson. How would you control yourself? These urges that single people get. I mean, you get those urges, but you can't do nothing with it.
Okay, firstly, I think that I mean, let's be honest. I mean, everyone has those urges. Um, Married people, single people, everybody does. I mean, that's
Yeah, but
how
see, a
God made
married
us. I
person,
mean, you can't.
yeah,
I
yeah, a
mean, you
married
can't.
person have the
I
urge.
mean,
They have
everybody has these
somebody.
urges. You know, everybody has these urges. I mean, you can't really help it. That's how God made us. This is how our bodies are. I mean, that's just what it is. You really can't control it. But I'm saying when it comes to when you meet somebody attractive, I mean, honestly, by the end of the day, if you see somebody that's attractive, you don't know nothing about them, that's just already lust. Cause like your mind already went somewhere else. So it's like, okay. Firstly, I think that you should just, I guess you should learn manners. I think you should know that you know manners as a person, know body language, how to articulate yourself, know how to walk. I think you should need to learn like, the basics of, how to conduct yourself in public. And when you hold yourself to a standard with a level of respect, and throughout time, then maybe when you see somebody who's attractive, your mind wouldn't go straight to just, oh, she's fine, let me get at her. Your mind would move with a little bit more grace. You move with grace, you approach somebody, and that person will recognize that, okay, this person's not, like a dog in heat. You know what I mean? This person's actually just being genuine. Even though they approach me, they see what they like. They're being graceful about it and being respectful about it. So I feel like
Okay,
it's about your approach and where your mindset is, and
okay.
handling with grace.
All right. I want to end that there because I do want to go to my next question, which is Teresa,
Mm-hmm.
how do you deal with singleness? Being single, how do you deal with that?
Okay, so let me just begin with there are times like it fluctuates, right? So there are times when, okay, I really appreciate being single. I like Samantha was describing earlier, you put your clothes on, you go and you do you. You go on a date by yourself, whatever, you just enjoy yourself being single, right? And you take the time to know yourself. But then there are those days when you get lonely, you just, you wish that you were not single. And for me, over time, I've developed this thing that I kind of become a workaholic. I find stuff to do with my time, and not just work. Being a Christian, sometimes you spend time in the Word. Um, I just try to involve myself in so many things that at times I don't feel anything from being single because I'm so distracted, or let me not say distracted, but I'm so busy with other things that I really don't have time to focus on that. That's how I personally deal with being single.
But now let me get into this here because see, when the dust settles, and what I mean by when
Mhm.
the dust settles, you have all of this going on. There's still going to come a time where you're not going to have anything left to do. So what do you do when you
There
have nothing
goes.
left to do?
See? I believe no, this is where your prayer life comes in, because
Okay.
when the dust settles and there's nothing else to do, then you really need something to fall back on. But then you're single, there's really nothing. So the next best thing for me, then I gotta call on Jesus, like God, you know? Because let me say this, that God can truly, I've heard people talk, not from experience, personal experience, but you hear people talk all the time. And I know single people who says that, listen, I pray to God, I ask him to take this away, I ask him to do that, and it's no bother. The dust settles, but it doesn't affect them in any form or any way, because they have dealt with it with God. You
Okay.
understand? But that it takes time. It takes I'm at a loss for word. But I'm gonna say determination and end it there. Yeah.
So you really have to have that self-control, because when the dust
Right.
settles, and back to my previous question, when you get those urges, because let me be honest with you, the devil loves when you idle. If you are idle, you don't have anything going on,
So
trust
true.
me, that's the time where those
I
urges,
know.
and that's why I
Mm-hmm.
asked about self-control. How much
Right.
self-control do you have that you can resist when the devil put this temptation in your mind? You understand? So that's very important. I like all of your answers that you have given, and it's very important that you have that self-control. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Ms. Dixon Laney.
Okay, so overall, if you cannot control yourself, you better get married. All right, so single people can give God their undivided attention. At what age do you consider late to being single? And are you tired of being single?
Mm.
Selena, let me hear from you.
At what age? I don't want to come from you with the age. It's tricky. I wouldn't put a time span, but I would say if you're past the age 30 and you're single, then, or not 30, I put it at 40 then. 40. If you're past the age at 40 and you're single, it means something happened there. You know what? Something happened there. What was the second part of the question?
Are you tired of being single?
Oh, tired of being single. Okay, so I'm not single per se, but I'm in a long distance relationship, so I could relate to some certain aspect, especially the part where Teresa was talking about distracting herself. So people that are single, I'll say at times they would be tired of being single, and they'll probably pray to God and say, God, help me to find someone. And then other days they're like, oh, I love being single. So it all depends on the mood, or as Elder Kimber said, when the dust settles, such as when you're at your bed at night, at that point probably they'll say, oh, I really need to find someone. So I think it all depends on the individual and certain situations, or whatever time you're at in your life. Because if, for example, if you're a person, a workaholic per se, and you're at a point in your career that you're climbing up the ladder and stuff, you don't have time to be tired of being single, because all your focus will probably just be on that job or climbing up the corporate ladder. So it all depends.
Okay, fair enough. So is it better to marry than to just stay there and burn with passion? At what age do you really consider late? Samantha?
Well, nowadays everybody believes age ain't nothing but a number. So
True.
like age ain't nothing but a number nowadays. You see these 32-year-olds with these 82-year-olds, these old men with these young girls, 10 years apart. And it's like there's so much different types of relationships, and there's so many different kinds. But it's all surrounded by love. So it's kind of like, who am I to tell you to stop loving yourself or loving somebody, far less, you you become a widow, you guys get divorced, and you're like in your 60s, and then someone comes around and wants to, you know, reignite your flame. Who am I to judge? Because that's your life. That's your, I'm saying that, you know, who am I? How am I gonna rob you from your happiness? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, it's gonna look weird, morally speaking, to everyone else around you, but at the same time, it's like this person making you happy, and it's on that God is the center of it. And I'm pretty sure God probably placed this person in front of you, and now you're blossoming in this new relationship. So it's like all we can do is really just support from a distance. I may not always agree, or I may always disagree, but as long that you're happy and God is the center, then I think that there's really no age, unless you know you bedridden. I'll say that. If you bedridden, then maybe you in diapers. I'm like, hey, slow it down. But hey, you can still walk around, get your motion, get your thing. I think that's what I would say.
Just
Okay.
to clarify, when I said 40, I just see it as an age when most women, you know, they're going towards menopause or midlife crisis, you'll say. So I believe at that age you do wanna it would be nice to have a companion. But if not, it's fine also. But I believe that's the time when life gets a little bit more serious, when you should going towards more of your goal or already had achieved some of your goals. So that's why I put it at 40. But like
Okay, so you want to just make sure that you want to be established by that time so you can enjoy the best moments. Like, you know, if you're married with children, you can experience, you can enjoy those
enjoy.
times.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
Exactly.
when we have children, there's so many different things when it happens around that age too. So I get what you're saying. So
Yeah.
who knows? You know, when God's the center of God, listen,
Yeah. God knows the time.
Mary gave birth and she was a virgin. So I would never ever, you know, question the powers of God. So
Wow.
Yeah.
never really know.
And that would be another topic, trust me.
Right?
All right, so age is not really a factor according to most of you. But
It
at
is.
what age do you consider late, Teresa?
Honestly, Selena said 40, and I hear you guys talking, but for me, 40 is really, really late. 30, and I'm speaking from being a woman, right? You know, like I heard Samantha just now, yes, we know the power of God, right? And I don't want to sound as if I'm doubting, but by that little time clock they talk about. And then in our society today, you get to a certain age group, and a lot of people are single at certain ages, not because they want to be single, but it just turned out that way. And when you talk about the pressure you have to be handling, I really wish it wasn't there. So when you get to 30 and you're not in a committed relationship, it is late, and it is late from different aspects. Not everybody can handle the pressure that comes with getting to a certain age and still being single.
Very interesting. Wish we
Wait, I
had
have a
time to
question.
explore more.
Teresa, I have a quick question, Teresa. So
Mhm.
like you're already in a relationship, but now you're trying to get back in. So what would be the difference? Just briefly, day before being in a relationship, you break up with that person to get into a new relationship than just dating late. Because I mean, you're already
Okay, I'm not saying I hear your question, Samantha, but I'm not saying that you should anyone should rush into a relationship just because they're trying to avoid being single at a certain age. I am not saying that.
right. I
I'm
get you. I get what you're saying. I just wanted to know, like, how would you feel if someone is in a relationship and they break up and they're getting to that time clock period? You know what I mean? And then now
oh
relationship.
I'm
Like
not
they
for
already
it.
wasn't married, but they're getting to a new relationship now. There's like, oh, we was in
Yeah.
this now back in, you know, single ready to mingle aspect.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. That's fine, Samantha. I'm not for it. I'm just speaking from what we sometimes experience in the society that we live today.
Right?
I'm not speaking from, personal point of view.
All right,
Like,
I hear you. Okay.
yeah.
This is really getting more and more interesting. So we're kind of strapped for time. So back to you, Norris.
Based on what I was hearing, I'm going to interject this question here, and I want to start with Ms. Lamy. Ms. Lamy mentioned climbing the corporate ladder. And sometimes we do get caught up in our jobs and we want to get this salary, we want to even education, we want this degree.
Mhm.
So, Miss Lamy, would it be fair for me to say that you are the reason why you're single? Because
Um, yeah, yeah, I think so. For certain individuals, that's the answer. Yeah, they're the reason why, because they're too busy. Also too, some people are stuck in their mind as well. Some people like calling themselves giraffe. So someone may be pursuing them, but they're
Mhm.
so blind to it, and or they're just not full. They might like the person too, but at the same time, they're just blind away from it. So yeah.
Now here's another question to everyone. Here's
Oh.
another question. I'm going to give you a scenario. You meet a guy. Well, let's start here. You have a master's degree in whatever, it doesn't matter, but your degree, your education is a master's degree. And you meet a guy who has a GED. Would that be the right guy for you? Or are you so caught up in your master's degree that you say, well, I'm not dating anyone unless they have a master's degree, because how can that person even communicate with me? He has a GED. Better yet, he only has an associate degree.
Since I'll answer.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, for whoever thinks like that, they have a problem, I would say, because someone having a degree doesn't define who they are, what they have inside of them, who they are as a person is just a piece of paper per se. Um, Better yet, that person that has the GED probably thinks more intellectual than the person with the master's. So you should not put down someone just because of the credentials. Especially I highly respect men or women that goes to someone that society that will say they're below their level. And sometimes you're missing out on your soulmate because of that.
Okay. I'll go next. I will say I agree with I do agree with you when it comes to there's a difference between being book smart and street smart. And you could learn a lot from both. Let's say I'm book smart and you're street smart. You could teach me a whole lot of things that they don't even teach me in school, and I can apply a lot of what you're teaching me into my life and my everyday, daily dues or whatever. And I would ask my partner, okay, what's going on? Like, how come you didn't? Because if I'm going to be with you, I think I'm going to say I want to dig into your business, but I would like to know like what happened or like what's going on. Are you established? Are you currently working? I just want to know that you're established. So it's not like I'm carrying the relationship. I would say that there's nothing wrong with whatever you're at right now, as long as you're doing something that you could be proud of, and you're stable, you have stability, and that means I have stability and we're both stable, and then even that can bring a lot more and I don't have to worry about it because it's not like, okay, he's not really doing anything or I have to wait because he's already established. Even though I have more, he still has something going on, and that I wouldn't really be ashamed of that. And if he's a good person, why not? So
Okay.
what? You don't know what
Um,
happened. You don't
I
know why he
got you.
has it.
Okay, so let me go to Miss Hunter before we turn it back over to Miss Dixon Lamy.
I agree with both parties. I think they pretty much got it. I agree with both because I agree with what Selena is saying, but I also agree with what Samantha is saying, because for me personally, I would be definitely asking the questions that Samantha just pinpointed. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
But you just would not cast off the person or dating that person because that person has a lower degree than
No,
you.
I would not. I would not, but I would want to know, what are we doing? What are you doing? Like, yeah.
Okay.
The person
Got
has
it.
that ambition too,
There
personally.
you go.
You don't know
Okay.
That's
me.
about wrapped up in it. Yeah.
So let me turn it back over to you, Miss Dixon Lamy.
Okay, very hot topic, eh? Okay, societal and cultural norms may place more emphasis on being in a relationship, which can create pressure for individuals to couple up. Furthermore, some people may struggle with feelings of loneliness or fear of being alone, which can make being single challenging for them. Our final question: would you rush into marriage because you are tired or you're pressured of living a single life? Would you rush into marriage because you are tired or pressured of living a single life? Miss Hunter.
Honestly, no, because looking at it, marriage is a lifelong thing. It's a lifelong commitment, right?
Mhm.
And stepping into it, it's a real serious thing. So stepping into it just because tired of being single or I'm desperate or someone is pressuring me, it's a no-no. I would rather be single than to just go into a marriage for anything other than love. For me, going into it for anything other is called punishment. That's it.
Very
I'm gonna stop
interesting.
right there. I refuse. Doesn't matter how I'm feeling. I would rather feel that way than to put myself into a situation and live a punishing life. That's not okay.
I think so too. Selena, let me hear from you.
I agree with Teresa with the punishment part, because marriage is a long lasting thing. If you're in it, you're in it to stay. So if you just rush into marriage just because of you want to be married or you're tired of being single, you're not going in for the right way. So eventually it will crumble. So eventually it won't work out anyways. Let's establish that, because if you're going into it with that mindset, I personally think it would have worked out. Also, as First Corinthians says, now to the unmarried and the widows, it's good for them to stay unmarried. But if you can't control yourself, you should marry. With that aspect, if you can't control yourself, at least whoever you're gonna choose to marry, make sure it's someone you actually have feelings for, not just any, or let me not say anybody, but someone that you have mutual connection with.
So not because society and, it's a norm, because of culture, you will not rush into marriage because you're tired or because everybody's doing it. So Samantha, would you rush into marriage because it is the norm or because you're tired of or pressured into being single?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. No, I would not rush into a relationship, because by the end of the day, when you're about to marry someone, you are vowing before God. Even though you're signing a government document, you are vowing before God. And that means I'm gonna be with you for life, for like a very long time. So I want to make sure that the person I'm marrying, you know, has, marking off everything off the checklist. You know what I mean? So I want to make sure that after I'm dating this person, that, this person I want to be with, and that he's the right candidate for me. And it's also cultural. When you brought up culture, that's why I have to make the note here. A lot of, especially Caribbean cultures, because I'm very mixed up, even when it comes to my Trinidadian side or my Bajan side of my family, like kids, relationships, that's very, very big. And I'm not gonna, I get a lot of pressure personally, because it's like, and it hits me sometimes. Even I'm a woman, as a woman, it does hit me sometimes where I'm like, oh, look at the baby, look at the family, or look at my cousin, or look at my aunt, or look at this person. It's like when I see all my family, all my cousins, all my friends just doing everything, and they're having these kids, and they're just, it's a warm feeling. It's a warm feminine woman feeling. You're gonna feel it. Even though you're not in that position, you're gonna feel it. Like when I'm holding my niece, it's just like, she's just so cute. Like you just want to have your own. You get those feelings. You're gonna have baby fever. That's natural. So it's like, I just have to try my best to just enjoy that happy moment and realize that, hey, maybe it's not my time, or just not to rush into it. Because maybe if I rush into it now, I'm gonna be miserable, and I'm not gonna be as happy as how they are. So I figured I would just maybe just hold off, enjoy my little singleness, enjoy myself over here, and just, be happy for everybody else. Because I do get a lot of pressure. Caribbean households, you get a lot of pressure. Where you gonna bring a penny? Where you gonna bring a niece? Where you gonna find a man? Where you
That
have
is so true.
you get that so much. It's like, dang, can I school, life? I know. I'm not gonna end the bloodline. I don't know. It's okay. So that's a lot of things I do come across a lot on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just to add, if I may,
Go ahead.
rushing into relationships can cause it has so many repercussions because you talk about being depressed, maybe getting into anxiety, and broken families. Broken families is a lot of times it is because of people rushing into relationships, and honestly, broken family is not a pretty thing. Before I get into one, get started, start a family, and then for it to become broken, I'd rather not. It doesn't have pretty results, and just don't rush into marriage. That's it.
Yeah, you want to
And
make sure
to
you're
add
really well
also,
settled. No, go
and
ahead.
to add, yeah, and to add also, I see this over and over. Sometimes the people will be so good until they're married. Like couples will be good until it's marriage. That's when everything starts to fall apart. And so in today's world, you do have some people that say, "Oh, I'm not gonna get married because when I get married, that's when the problem starts." So there are people there that they're couples and they're actually not married and they're I would say living better, not living better, but their relationship is going better than those who are not married sometimes. And sometimes people say, "Oh, I wish I didn't get married." So that's another factor too.
Or
And that
if I want to shine some light on the men, sometimes men could really just be the perfect gentleman until you give it up. Now I'm being for real. When you were with this guy for a couple of months, couple of years, everything's going right, and the moment you guys, you know, consummate and have your, y'all do the marital act, and next thing you know, poof, he's gone, and now you're in a bed eating ice cream, crying your eyes out because this person was feeding you everything. You didn't know his true intentions, and the moment you guys actually do it, then he's gone, and now you're hurt. And that's going to bring your self-esteem down so much. You're going to be depressed. You're going to feel so many different feelings. And then you have to go through this whole journey again. And it's going to make you put up a wall. And that's why it's going to be harder for you to get into a relationship. That's why I said it's going to be traumatic because you went through something so traumatic that you're so afraid to step out again. And that fear is going to cause you to just, rob yourself of happiness because you feel like you never experienced it again because you were hurt so badly before.
and some people use marriage as a trap too as well. Just to add on to what you said, Samantha.
But it's a government sheet. That's why it's like, hey, that's why God says something about marriage. Because sometimes if I'm over here, there's a difference between being, lack of a better word, a baby mama versus a wife, mother, child. Being for the child, because you still have those benefits. It's like, at least it's not a trap, but I mean, you have a lot more security. There's a lot more security.
No, when I said trap,
No, I understand you. I was just, following up on what you said.
Yeah, especially some of the men, they just want to know that they're married, you're the wife now, and then they move on or go out on the road or start cheating. Yeah, because some men, they actually start cheating until when you're married, or so vice versa too with women.
Hey, and if he starts cheating and he has money, this is what I say. Everybody's different. Hey, listen, he got a good paying job, just close your eyes. And just take his wallet and buy yourself a new purse.
Samantha, that is also another topic.
That's a Caribbean thing. That's a Caribbean thing. Oh, you wanna bun me? Okay, fine. I'm just gonna shut my eye. I'm gonna go to church. I'm gonna just take your credit card, buy myself a new bag, grab my tears with $100 bills, and that's it.
Wow.
That's a new thing now too. That's a new thing in society. So that's another thing as well.
Well, just to add, as Christians, this is where prayer and fast comes in. When it comes down to relationship, I think sometimes we as Christians, we slack up in terms of praying and fasting for these things. And we got to start praying and fasting long before the marriage comes along. And when the marriage comes along, we got to continue because at the end of the day, marriage is something that was instituted by God, and anything that God builds up, the devil is going to try to tear it down. And that is why so many marriages are in the turmoil that they are. It's just the devil playing, his game with what God has instituted, trying to tear it down. So
yeah, that is so true.
Just for us to remember that as Christians and as Christian singers, fasting and praying should be something that we intermingle with dating.
I really think so too. Never forget that we are Christian young people. All right.
Mm.
So we have time for one more question. Back to you, Norris.
Man, this is an interesting discussion. I only believe we only have time for one more. All of that talking has brought up so many other questions as I'm in my head. But you know what? For this last question, I also want to invite Mr. Baptiste. I believe Mr. Baptiste, he's going to join us shortly. But I want to invite Mr. Baptiste on for this next question as well. And while Mr. Baptiste is joining, I will say that for all young people, what I found instrumental in my single life when I had first started going to church and learning about God and trying to live holy. There's a book by Ellen G. White, which is entitled Messages to Young People. That is a very good book, and I would encourage everyone to read that book. It's a very good book. It never goes out of style. Ellen G. White, Messages to Young People. Okay. So it's Mr. Okay, so we're still waiting for Mr. Baptiste. He's signing in right now. Our next question, as Mr. Baptiste is signing in, our next question, I will start off with the last question. I'm going to go to actually Samantha. I want to go here to, it says, are you pressured by your parents or peers to get married? Now,
Yes.
okay, now this question is personal. I will love an honest answer from each one of you. Are you being pressured by your family or your peers about getting married? And what is your response to that?
Yes, I'm getting pressure from both sides, but at the same time, I know that they have also taught me the importance of making sure that you're well established and not put the cart before the horse. Make sure that you have your education. Make sure you're financially, mentally stable before you go into a relationship. And then when you get married and then you have children, you want to make sure that you're fully established at least, or have something going on good enough that you can handle dealing with somebody else now and bringing that person into your life. So I do get that pressure. You know, my parents would love to have their grandchildren, but what? Not for me. I have a brother. Stop. I have a brother. But I do get that pressure from my friends because they all have kids as well. A lot of my family and friends have kids, so of course they would
Okay,
want to join the club.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Baptiste. Thank you so much. The question for you is: are you now being pressured by your parents or your peers to get married?
For me, it's kind of similar to Samantha. Everybody knows that, things have to go a certain way before marriage is spoken of. I do graduate on May 3rd this year, so I feel like that's kind of the next step. It might be a lot more overbearing then, but now it's understandable, so it's not as bad as a woman,
Okay.
I feel like.
All right. Okay, so the pressure is not so much of being married and everything, so you can deal with it though.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Ms. Lamy, go ahead.
No, the only thing, especially my mom would drill into me is make sure it's someone that I can build life with and someone that's good for me and match with my moral standards and someone that's Christ-centered.
Okay. All right. Last but not least, Miss Hunter, are you being pressured by parents or peers to get married?
From my mom and my dad, no, they're more relaxed. They're like, whatever makes you okay, whatever makes you happy. But from my aunties, I get my parental pressure from them. They are the ones that will call me out of the blue, and their first question, they didn't even say, how are you or whatever. They'll be like, you're not married as yet? No
Yes.
babies as yet? They get straight to it. That's right. And my peers, yes, of course, because like someone said earlier, they have already started their families and stuff. So everybody's like, what's going on with you? Why haven't you had any babies as yet and stuff like that? So yes, the pressure is there.
You know what? Another thing I found that you can get pressure is from the church as well. So even if you don't get no pressure from your family, Would you agree? Anyone on here would agree that the church, the members, if they don't see you married or having children, do you get pressure from within the church about this?
Yes. Yes. The church
Everybody wants
aunties,
to.
the church
Definitely.
aunties don't play.
Wow,
I think
resounding
so.
yes.
Or they if you have a boyfriend at a time or so, they
Mhm.
might giving you the side eye. Like it almost feels like you're judging you because they're like young people and you have a boyfriend. Like,
I think it's more like when you have every a guy friend, just a guy friend, and they'll be like, "Oh, who's this mysterious man? Samantha, bring
There
him
we
here."
go.
Like, whoa, he's a
Yeah.
friend. Relax.
Yes.
And then now you're giving
Yes.
my guy friend ideas, and now you're trying to pause.
That-
Let's just come for the word. Let's just come to hear the pastor preach and eat and go home. Like, please, this is not matchmaker.
And I
Gotcha.
feel bad.
Man.
I feel
Yeah,
bad
that happens.
for the guys. Maybe
Mhm.
Jamoki could attest to if this happened. But I also see it with the guys too. They always like if the lady if a guy bring a girl to a church and she does the least, it could be the simplest thing about she'll make a good wife, you better something like that. Especially if you made a meal or so. And she can cook too. Especially Caribbean
Man,
people.
or a small gesture. You bring him a water bottle
Yeah.
and being nice.
Yeah,
All of a sudden,
yeah.
oh, she looked
That's what
out
I
for
meant to
you.
say.
You better
Yeah.
talk to her.
Mr.
Super.
Baptiste, hold on a second. So let Mr. Baptiste answer that. Mr. Baptiste, what do you think? Do you get a lot of pressure from the church?
Yeah, it's definitely way more for the church. I feel like I don't know if it's like a spiritual, the Holy Spirit or whatever, but they just always see something, that's gonna be potential in the next 5, 10 years, and
Mhm.
yeah, they be the ones mostly talking, but at the same time though, they do be the ones who tell you about the, I guess, specific characteristics and like uh uh like what she was saying, like basically all the things that you might want in a partner for, the future. So they still add the pressure as well, but they still kind of, reestablish the guidelines. So you're not too, I guess.
Got you.
Yeah,
Got you. It has been
And they
an
always
interesting
say, oh, sorry.
conversation. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I always hear this one too. He who finds a wife finds a good thing. They stress that line out.
true.
Like God, they don't have a line really for the woman to say he who finds a husband.
This has been an interesting conversation. I really don't want to let this go, but I'm going to turn it back over to Ms. Dixon Lamey.
Okay, so there you have it. The youth have spoken once again. Being single, it is not an easy road to trod. Singleness, yes, it is a gift. Value it. Likewise, marriage. Remember to search the scripture and you will definitely find answers to all your burning questions. Special thanks to all my panelists, all right, of young adults. Wow. And my co-host, Norris, the time was well spent. So thank you all for making this program possible. Thank you all for joining. Join us next time as we explore more controversial issues viewed by youth. This was Youth in the Loop. See you next time. Bye, everyone.